Just finished the swim, time to start the day.
I have here a box that will hopefully solve all of my vlogging problems. And this is the Sony RX0 Mark II 4K camera that is supposed to be the same size as this little guy. Although, if you've been watching any of my current vlogs, you'll know that this one is driving me crazy. So hopefully this new one is going to be the winner when it comes to vlogging, because I'm definitely tired of having to reshoot a bunch of B-rolls and scenes because the GoPro messed up. Oh, that's crazy. Wow. It's waterproof too? Come on. And here it is, the tiny Sony camera, and for size comparison, the GoPro 7, they're pretty much the exact same size. Of course, there's a huge cost difference. This one's 800 bucks, and this one's only 350. So obviously I was hoping to get away with the 350 one. But before we get to play with this, I have to wait a few hours to charge this up. So I'm going to do my morning check-in with my team, make sure they have everything they need, and then I get to hire a web developer. And now that I'm done with my team check-ins and I've reviewed some of the content that's going out next week, it's time to pull the trigger and actually hire a web developer. So I'm going to screen share with you a little bit here and show you all 29 proposals that came in and the 2 I'm actually going to hire for this particular round. And of course, I always like to just kind of save people if they just barely didn't make the cut, so that next time I have a project, I can directly go to them and say, hey, I have a project and I think you might actually like it. So first thing I want to do here is control find and type in purple elephant, because something that I always recommend doing is coming up with some silly phrase telling people to put that at the beginning of their proposal so you know that they actually read it. And so as we scroll down here, you can see purple elephant is highlighted with all of these proposals that are still here. This one isn't showing up because they put quotations, and I don't know why. This is where Upwork gets really annoying. But anyways, all of these, for some reason, these bottom ones aren't doing it, but all of these have purple elephant in them. Whereas if I went to archived, you'll see that purple elephant does not show up here. 0 out of 0. And you'll scroll down, nothing's highlighted because none of these people put purple elephant in their cover letter. And that, pretty much, I was instantly able to remove 9 people right off the bat without doing any work. It literally took 60 seconds to scroll through them and go, oh, they didn't put purple elephant? No way. And then, of course, the next step is going through and just reading how they kind of describe themselves in their cover letters and looking at their hourly rates. Of course, you can see here that there are people at 18, 26, and 50. If I scroll down, there was one guy who was all the way up at 75. And, oh, here we go. Yeah, one guy at 75. And really, for someone who's working on a WordPress site, you shouldn't be paying more than $25 an hour. Like, $25 an hour, I think, would be on the really, really high end for someone who's doing work on WordPress. And because there's a big difference between someone who's doing web development and someone who's doing WordPress, because you can have a WordPress website designer and creator who doesn't know a lick of HTML. Like, it doesn't require any HTML knowledge to know how to use WordPress. And so I'm much more of a stickler. I think just 5 or 6 years ago, $50 an hour, that's about what I paid to put together my first WordPress site. 5 years later, that's way too much money now. So anyway, I'm gonna go over here to my short list, and man, WordPress developers are gonna be mad at me for that. That's okay. And going through these people that I shortlisted, I'm actually going to start with 2. So I'm going to hire this freelancer that's at $12 an hour, and I'm going to hire this freelancer that's at $10 an hour. And pretty much it just came down to price and making sure that they were under that 15 mark, that hard 15 mark for me, and then seeing if they actually had experience. So you'll see here at the top that this top guy actually had experience with Thrive Themes. However, reading through the reviews, they were less than positive. So I figured I won't really take a chance on this one because I really do just want to get this project done. And the several of the negative reviews was that he just took a long time. whereas the negative reviews on the other two, this bottom one and this guy right here, were things that I could deal with, right? And so everyone's going to be different in terms of what they're willing to put up with and what they're not willing to put up with. And for this particular one, timeline stuff, not really willing to put up with, but quality or, miscommunications, well, that's just part of working with someone in another country. So the way I do this is I'll actually go ahead and click on send the freelancer a message, and I will highlight my templated message here because I always like templating stuff, and I will paste that in and then just send it. So pretty much all this message says is, hey, I'm really looking forward to working with you, and I have a bunch of stuff to put together, but I'd like to work with you, and when I have all my stuff done, I'll accept your proposal. And the other thing I asked them quickly is just if they could get it done in the next 2 weeks, given their workload. So that's really all I need to know here. And because this is a one-off project, I'm not going to go through the typical interview process. Like when I hire someone for our content team, I will actually go through the whole audition thing and go through the whole interview thing. And then I'll send this guy a message because we have 2 sites that we need to fix. So I might as well hire 2 people, and hopefully one of them does a good job so I'll know which one to continue to work with moving forward. And so that's it. I've pretty much just hired 2 web developers right here. So now the hard part is, of course, getting all of the materials together for them, but at least they know that they have a potential job, and as long as they both message back and say, hey, yeah, I could probably get this done within 2 weeks because it's probably going to take them about 30 hours, then we'll be good to go hiring a web developer. And now that I've done this, I better add this to my agenda for our co-founder meeting later today to let them know that I just signed us up for spending another $1,500 on our websites. Just finished up a productive meeting, having to rework some project timelines because of the dreaded entrepreneurial word, burnout. Now, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, for some reason, burnout is this disputed, nebulous thing because there's no actual definition for it. And some entrepreneurs think it's total bogus and it's just an excuse for being tired or lazy. And other entrepreneurs can swear by it because of their own personal experience. Now, I'm personally one of those entrepreneurs that can actually swear by it because I've burned out multiple times and actually documented it several times on this channel. And so my definition of burnout, very simply, is the inability to continue to work because of something physical going on. So I don't see it as, oh, I've been tired for a few days, I think I'm burned out, right? I see burnout as a systemic problem where it is something that has been hindering you for weeks, if not months. And so the quickest way to know is if you want to stop working because you're tired, you're probably not burned out. You're just tired. If you want to continue working and you feel and you're getting frustrated because you can't keep going because you're tired or you're falling asleep or you're having aches and pains somewhere in your body, that is in the burnout camp because you want to keep going and your body's pretty much getting in your way saying, no, we're done, we need a break. So I started to feel like that a week ago. And so cut out all coffee to help my adrenals recover. And then I up my hours of sleep to 10 to 11 per day. And even after a week of that, I'm still stuck with dark circles under my eyes and am finding that something that should take me just 20 to 30 minutes is winding up taking me an hour because I'm just not able to run at 100%. And so I have a track example because I used to run track. So I'll use that as an example of how to figure out whether or not you're burned out or you're on the precipice of burning out. And then I'll run into what to actually do when you're feeling this way or when you're getting to feeling this way. So imagine you're running just one lap around the track. That's a 400. That was my bread and butter race. You're coming around that final turn, you see the finish line on the home stretch, and you're running, and you feel this little twinge in your Achilles tendon or your hamstring, because I know what those feels like, unfortunately. And you go, oh, okay, well, I've been running for a good 45 seconds to 50 seconds, so I'm really tired. So I'm probably just feeling some lactic acid and some pain. I can keep going. I can see the finish line. I can finish this last project. I can do this last, week worth of work. And so you keep going. And let's say a day or two later, or we're sticking with our track example, we're going down and it's another 15, 20 yards, and all of a sudden the pain starts to get worse. And then you go another 10 paces and it gets even worse. And then you're within 25 yards of the finish line and your Achilles tendon or your hamstring, your knees, whatever it may be, starts to scream. Now, if your lungs are screaming, that just means you're running fast. You can always ignore your lungs, right? There's some things pain you can't ignore. But with those muscles, you have to make a decision. Am I going to keep going and risk tearing something or pulling something? Or am I going to stop because I don't want to take that risk? And that's the decision you as an entrepreneur, just in terms of your physical body, is a machine. We're not designed to work 10, 12-hour days for 5 to 6 days a week, 365 days a year. We're just not designed to do that. Eventually, something in our body's going to crack that we're going to have to fix. And so in that situation, you have to decide, you know what, I think I'm going to be able to push through and I'm going to be stronger because of it, or no, I just need to stop because I don't want to risk losing the rest of my season just because to win this one race. Now, I've had both of those situations. I had situations where I was like, you know what, I want to win this race, and I ran those last 25 yards, and yeah, that Achilles tendon was never the same. I've also had other times where I wound up I stopped, right? I stopped and went to PT and found out, yeah, you probably would have pulled your hamstring again if you had kept going. So good thing you didn't. Let's get all that scar tissue out and let's put you into PT and we'll fix you up for next week's race. Awesome. So in both cases, you learn a lot. One is just a lot more painful than the other. But the point I'm trying to make here is both are okay. You're going to learn just as much by just kind of trying to break through and tearing something as you are stopping right before you think you're going to tear something and making adjustments so you don't feel that way again. The point is, in both instances, you actually go back and you figure out, what did I do wrong in my training? What did I do wrong in my project planning or my personal health or my sleep schedule that got me to this point? And so that's the big takeaway from burnout. Let's not pretend like it does or doesn't exist or have that argument. Everyone gets tired at some times, and I strongly believe that if you really are pushing your 120%, you're going to hit something akin to what I've hit in the past and what other entrepreneurs have hit in the past. And so you have to make that decision. Am I going to keep going and risk breaking something, which I've done? My scar on my nose is a perfect example of that. Or am I going to stop and I'm going to lose this race? I'm not going to hit this goal. I'm going to disappoint this person. I'm going to disappoint that person. I'm going to look stupid to these people. But you know what? I'm going to be able to go back, fix my process, fix my body, fix whatever's broken so that the next time I go at this goal, the next time I run this race, I'm going to be prepared and ready. So I hope you got some value out of that, and the example actually made sense just because I'm a runner. That made a whole lot of sense to me. But hey, you know what? I think we all have different ways of dealing with burnout, but as long as we actually look at learning from it and stopping when we know we're on the precipice of it, we can make good changes. So for example, today, a large part of my meeting was talking about the things that we're not going to be able to do. We published 27 videos in April, which was an awesome record. And my goal was to post something akin to 29 videos per month for May and June. That's not going to happen because I'm feeling that strong twinge in my hamstring. I'm looking at the last 25 yards, or I guess it'd be the next 60 days, and saying, I'm probably going to kill myself if I continue going at this pace because of all the new client work we've gotten. So the good news is the client work will work, but the bad news is I'm going to have to let go and fail on one of my goals. And before I go, I did not actually do any recording on this guy like I planned to today because I don't have the proper SD card adapter. I have all but the one that fits this camera, so I'll do that in another vlog. Hope that is encouraging to you. Burnout is real. You definitely need to take care of this machine because we only get one. And until the next video, keep building the business you love.